the bird went back into its ivory cage and closed the door, waiting for Aisha to waken. And Aisha found herself in this garden, and she followed the road, and she came to a stream in which were beautiful rainbow fish, and she stopped and was about to sit down by the stream to pause and catch her breath, when one of the beautiful rainbow fish jumped out and said, don't stay, hasten, hurry, because if you don't hurry, the bird will die. So even though Aisha was thirsty and tired, she resumed her journey and crossed the bridge over the stream. But when she was there again, she was filled with thirst and fatigue, her feet were tired, so she sat down to rest, and again a fish came up out of the water. Don't tarry, don't wait, don't drink, remember. And so she went on, came to the palace gates and entered. No one or no thing stood in her way, but she came to the glass door, and she entered, and there was the huge bed, and underneath she could see the sack. So she quickly knelt down on her knees and took a pinch of powder and tied it in the corner of her handkerchief. But just at that moment she heard the thud, thud, thud of footsteps, the demon returning. What will I do? Will I run, or will I climb under the bed? So she climbed under the bed, dark, black. And then a great crash as the demon fell on the bed and started to snore. Aisha came out, crawling from under the bed, quickly made her way to the glass door and out, down to the bridge. But she found that she was being pursued by a great beast with fangs, like a dog, but vicious. So she ran and ran and ran and managed to cross the bridge. Somehow the beast dared not cross, but she was exhausted and thirsty, so she sat and was about to drink, when again the fish came up. Don't drink, remember, remember. You will be here forever, and the bird will die. How do you know these things? Said Patricia. And the fish said, in this place all is enchanted and all knowing. Even though her feet were torn and bleeding, and her thirst was great, Aisha hastened along the path until she reached a dark place. And then, when she awoke, she found herself back at the beginning of the place where her dream began. Her bedroom, her bed. She woke up quickly and called to the bird, look, I have the powder. So the bird flew out of its cage and onto her hand, and she sprinkled the powder on its feathers, and immediately in front of her was a very tall and handsome prince in embroidered clothing. She fainted right away. And when she awoke, she was being ministered to by her old and faithful nurse and the prince, who was giving her sips of water. Of course, in the way of these stories, we know the ending. The prince invited Aisha to become his bride, to return to his own kingdom. And as these Sufi stories go, like many of the other fairy tales, using the Sufi wording, they lived long and happily and had many sons. Thank you to Allah. In this place, where stillness and movement meet in us, where we know this that now is ever present in our life, inviolable, in no way can we go against it. We can't even go with its flow. It has no flow. It's all in the immediacy of the moments of life. But we know it. It's there at every given moment. It's working for us. We know it. What do we know? How does it work? And how does this story bring it together for us so that we understand and thereby have no fear of becoming like one of those wandering masts with the dishevelled hair, muttering the wisdom of the ages. There'll be more stories. It's all tied in, as we well know, to that much and very often repeated phrase of bringing the consciousness, the levels of mind to the subtle levels of mind, taking in perceptions, allowing them to flow down the channels at the side of the spine where they meet. But fairy stories about princes and princesses is much, much more interesting and entertaining than yin and yang and all of that stuff. That's what I thought too. So I tell stories.